We are going to turn to the book of Judges, chapter 13. Judges, chapter 13. If you find Ruth, you went too far. Again, the Israelites did evil in the eyes of the Lord. So the Lord delivered them into the hands of the Philistines for 40 years. A certain man of Zorah named Manoah, from the clan of the Danites, had a wife who was childless, unable to give birth. The angel of the Lord appeared to her and said, "You are barren and childless, but you are going to become pregnant and give birth to a son. Now see to it that you drink no wine nor other fermented drink, and that you do not eat anything unclean. You will become pregnant and have a son whose head is never to be touched by a razor, because the boy will be a Nazirite, dedicated to God from the womb. He will take the lead in delivering Israel from the hands of the Philistines." Then the woman went to her husband and told him, "A man of God came to me. He looked like an angel of God, very awesome. I didn't ask where he came from, and he didn't give me his name, but he said to me, 'You will become pregnant and have a son. Now then, drink no wine or other fermented drink, and do not eat anything unclean, because the boy will be a Nazirite of God from the womb until the day of his death.' Then Manoah prayed to the Lord, 'Pardon your servant, Lord. I beg you to let the man of God you sent to us come again to teach us how to bring up the boy who is to be born.' God heard Manoah, and the angel of God came again to the woman while she was out in the field, but her husband Manoah was not with her. The woman hurried to tell her husband, 'He's here, the man who appeared to me the other day.' Manoah got up and followed his wife, and he came to the man and he said, 'Are you the man who talked to my wife?' 'I am,' he said. So Manoah asked him, 'When your words are fulfilled, what is to be the rule that governs the boy's life and work?' The angel of the Lord answered, 'Your wife must do all that I have told her. She must not eat anything that comes from the grape or vine, nor drink wine or any other fermented drink, nor eat anything unclean. She must do everything that I have commanded her.' Manoah said to the angel of the Lord, 'We would like you to stay until we prepare a young goat for you.' The angel of the Lord replied, 'Even though you detain me, I will not eat any of your food. But if you prepare a burnt offering, offer it to the Lord.' Manoah did not realize that it was the angel of the Lord. Then Manoah inquired of the angel of the Lord, 'What is your name, so that we may honor you when your word comes true?' And he replied, 'Why do you ask my name? It is beyond understanding.' Then Manoah took a young goat, together with the grain offering, and sacrificed it on a rock to the Lord. And the Lord did an amazing thing while Manoah and his wife watched. As the flame blazed up from the altar toward heaven, the angel of the Lord ascended in the flame. Seeing this, Manoah and his wife fell with their faces to the ground. When the angel of the Lord did not show himself again to Manoah and his wife, Manoah realized that it was the angel of the Lord. 'We are doomed to die,' he said to his wife. 'We have seen God.' But his wife answered, 'If the Lord had meant to kill us, he would not have accepted a burnt offering and grain offering from our hands, or shown us all these things, or now told us this.' The woman gave birth to a boy and named him Samson. He grew, and the Lord blessed him, and the Spirit of the Lord began to stir him when he was in Manoah, Dan, between Zorah and Eshtaol." How would you like to be the father of Samson? Wow, what a responsibility that would be. A fellow that had the Spirit of God on him and so much power that he actually at one point took a gate, one of those huge wooden gates, off of a city and carried it away from the city, tore it right off of the wall and just carried it. We're talking about a man that did some amazing things with the strength that the Spirit of God gave him. This was a very important mission to be the dad of Samson. Now, not all of you are going to be the dad of Samson, but this man Manoah was called to be Samson's dad. If you are a father, I want you to know, whether your kids are grown up or whether they're little, you are called by God to be their father. It is not just simply a biological thing that has occurred here. It is a spiritual thing that has occurred. I want us to talk a little bit, though, about godly fathers. Godly fathers, first of all, are servants. We see this in Manoah's life. Manoah just is a really good example of a godly father. Now, I know that if you know Samson's life, you know that there were some things that happened where Samson just, as a grown adult, as a grown man, he pretty much kind of pushed his dad around a little bit, it seems. I don't think that was the way that it was. I think that the reason that Manoah went along with Samson was he realized Samson was going to do what Samson was going to do. And I think Manoah was trying his best to be a good dad in the midst of some very impossible situations where Samson was a little bit too sure of himself and very prideful and was creating some real problems. God kind of paid him back for all of that stuff, though, too, by allowing him to fall into the hands of the Philistines. And if you remember the end of Samson's life, he pushed down 2 pillars, destroyed a temple, killed 3,200 Philistines, freed the Israelites from the control of the Philistines, but he had been blinded prior to that because of his disobedience to the Lord, and he had paid the price, but God came on him once again and allowed him to deliver everybody, but Samson died in the process. So the end of Samson's life, he killed, actually, the Bible says he killed more in his death than he did in his life. It's not that being a godly dad will make you a perfect dad. I don't want you to think that that's what I'm saying today. Okay? Obviously, somewhere along the line there was a disconnect between Manoah's attempt at being a godly father and Samson's reception of Manoah's leadership. Okay? There was a disconnect somewhere in there, and I know there was. So being a godly father does not mean you will be a perfect father, but it at least means you will be a godly father, and that is the most important thing. If you as a dad are doing everything you can to answer the call to fatherhood, then I think that what people do with your faithfulness is between them and God. But if you are not doing what you can to be a godly father, and you are instead throwing off all of the things that we're going to be talking about today, then you're going to have nobody but yourself to blame if things go wrong. I'd rather have God to blame if things went wrong, which they won't go wrong if I do what God tells me to do. First of all, godly fathers are servants. Check out what Manoah said. When his wife came back and told him, I saw an angel and this is what the angel told me, Manoah didn't argue with his wife. Now listen, guys, God gave you a wife. Your wife is your chief advisor. Okay? She is not just, she's not just your right hand, she's more than that. If the man is the mind of the outfit, the woman is the heart of the outfit. If the man is the leader, the wife is the chief advisor. However you want to look at it. But Manoah took the godly position of not arguing with his wife, but instead trying to figure out a way to equip her. So his prayer to the Lord was not, God, I've got a goofy wife. She thinks that she saw an angel. And if she really saw an angel, prove it to me by coming to me and showing me that there really is an angel. It's not what he did. He said, God, he said, you visited my wife, but I don't know what to do. And I need to equip my wife for whatever it is that's coming. Would you please come back and visit and tell me the rule? How am I supposed to raise this divine gift that you are giving to my wife and me? That was the question. He wanted to know, how can I equip my wife? Dads, as servants of God, God has called you to be a servant of the household. You know what it means to be a provider, right? It means that you go out and you work, and then you throw it all in your family's face when you get home about how hard you have to work so that they can feel guilty about every little thing that they ever do, right? No, that's not what it means. That means you go and you work, and the whole day that you're working, you find courage. I mean, especially if you're standing in one place going, and moving it down the line. You find courage throughout the day because you're thinking, little Johnny, he's growing up, and he needs a dad that is a faithful and good worker. He needs me at home, and I have to have a home, so that's why I do this all the day long. You don't sit there as a dad, as somebody called to be a dad, and go, stupid work, I hate my job, I hate this work, I hate everything that I'm doing, I can't stand this, I don't know why in the world. That's not your calling. As a godly dad, as a godly husband, your calling should be the thing that drives you through that hard day of work. It should be the thing that lifts you up. The idea that if I get my work done, my kids get to eat, my wife gets to be equipped with what she needs, I'm able to do everything for my family that needs to be done, and I love my family, and you are working hard because you are the family's servant. When you get home, Dad, that doesn't mean, well, I worked, so I'm going to kick up my feet and everybody else just leave me alone. When you get home, that means that the work that you want to do is now beginning because you just got done with the work you had to do. The work you have to do in order to supply your family is there so that when you get home, you can enjoy your family. Dad, when you have worked all day long and you get home and you tell the family, everybody spread out and get away from me, I've worked hard, I don't want to be bothered by you. Why are you working then? If when you get home you don't want your family around you. If when you get home you don't want to be bothered by the children, bothered by your wife, bothered by the honey-do list, bothered by all of these other things. Why are you working the job to begin with? Are you working it because you want to be famous? Guess what? Only a few people get to be famous. And you know who gets to be the most famous? The people that have worked the hardest and sometimes have actually ruined their families because they've worked so hard. They had no time for their kids, no time for their wife. Do you know the story of the early Congress of our nation is filled with dads who were never, ever home because they were always building the country? They had to have wives that were absolutely everything to the children. They had to, the things they had to go through blow my mind. We stand on their shoulders today, and we have every convenience, we have every comfort and every luxury we could possibly imagine. How many of you have ever gone out with an actual post hole digger? Were you okay? All right. How many of you know you don't have to do that anymore? They have an auger now. You just turn it on, you hold it in one place. Holes dug. That's it. It's wonderful. Don't get me wrong. If I have a choice between and hole's done, I'm going with the second one, you know. But why do we have that? So that I have more time. More time to do what? Ignore everybody. No. More time to engage in the lives of my children and my wife. Godly fathers, you are called to be servants. It doesn't matter whether you want to do this or don't want to do this. What matters is, does your wife need it? Do your kids need it? You are called to be a servant. Manoah didn't demand anything of God. He asked for equipping. He asked God to equip him. So what does that mean? That means that when we are serving God, God actually comes and equips us. It means when our kids and our wives are trying to do the best they can in growing up and in moving forward in their lives, that means that husbands, we've got to be there and follow God's lead and equip our wives and equip our kids. The next thing, godly fathers are leaders. How do you become a leader in the household? I'm the man of the house, listen to me. Is that how you become a leader? Okay, well, if that's how you become a leader, the next time you go into a Walmart, just announce to everybody, I'm the new manager around here, everybody follow me. Just walk around, every worker, I'm the new manager here, everybody follow me. You might actually catch a couple that would go, well, whatever, okay. But when it comes down to it, does that make you the leader of the Walmart? No. Pick any group, walk into any group, announce that you're the leader. Does that make you the leader? How do you become the leader? People make you the leader. That's always how you become a leader. People make you the leader. And if you're going to be the leader in your own house, follow Manoah's advice. Manoah had his wife, God's and his future son's best interest at heart, so God and his wife elevated him to leadership. When you are good at equipping your wife is happy to cook a meal for you. Your wife is happy to help you out at the house. Your wife is happy to do the things that you need for yourself because you are giving her the equipment she needs. I'm not talking just financial things. I'm talking you're giving her the emotional equipment she needs. You're giving her the support she needs. You are giving her the dignity that she needs. You are giving her the respect that she needs. Men, if we are to be godly dads, we have got to be godly servants, but we have also got to be godly leaders. That doesn't mean you need to know the answers. It means you need to know how to equip your family. Are you equipping your kids? Some of us take our kids out and we play ball with them. Some of us take our kids and we say, here's the toolbox. This is a hammer. Here's a nail. This is how you get a nail in. This is how you don't swear when you get your thumb hit with the nail. okay, or the hammer. But you take your kids and you show them what you know. This is how you fix a car. In my particular case, being a minister, I spend a lot of time with my kids explaining to them the spiritual things of life, the Bible, how to treat other people, how to work with other people, how to manage other people. It's no mistake that doctors' children usually grow up to be somebody that works in the medical field. It's no mistake that mechanics' children usually grow up to become mechanics. Because we teach our kids and we equip our kids with what we are equipped. And so we come underneath of our kids and we equip them in different ways. I'm not bad at baseball, but I'm really not good. I mean, you can send the baseball to me. I can keep my eyes on that ball, and that ball goes under my bat, goes over my bat. It sometimes just drops there on the ground, and I go, I don't know why. I can't hit a ball with a bat for the life of me. I just can't. I don't know what the deal is. I can catch a ball like nobody's business. I'm a great first baseman. Out. I'm good at that, but don't put me at the plate. I'm terrible. So it's no wonder that I don't teach my kids a lot about baseball because I stink at it. I mean, if they want to learn baseball, they better find somebody that knows how to play the thing because I just don't. I can throw a ball. We can play catch. And that's fun for like about 2 seconds. So this is really going nowhere, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. But that's me. But see, some of you guys, your hand-eye coordination is like spot on. Boom, you can hit a ball, the thing goes flying. You can say, son, this is how you do it. And boom, the son goes, look at me, I'm like my dad. I'm like my dad, I can do what my dad does. That's right, because you're equipped in much the same way your dad is equipped. Because you come from him. And so when dad is able to step up and be a godly leader and equip you, you say, I had the best dad in the world. He taught me how to do this, taught me how to do that. He showed me how to do this. He set a good example, blah, 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 blah. And you can go through the list. And every one of those lists says, Dad was a servant. Dad was my servant. Dad served me well. Dad came underneath of me. Dad was my servant. But do you look at Dad as a servant? No. You say, Dad was my leader. Dad was my leader. Dad took the lead. When the family was on the brink, when the family was in danger, Dad was strong. Was that because Dad on the inside is a strong guy? A lot of us on the inside are still little boys wishing we were not called to do what we're called to do. But we step up to the plate with courage, and we take the position and the role of dad, and we take the role and the position of husband, and we are the strong ones because nobody else is strong. Somebody's got to be strong. I'm the dad, I'll be strong. Sometimes you don't feel like it, but dads don't do what they feel like doing. Dads do what they need to do because they are the servants of the household. Servants of God do not get to tell God what they will and won't do. Servants of God do whatever God says, no matter how tired, worn out, frustrated, flabbergasted, whatever excuse you could come up with. If you're a servant of God and God says, servant, I need you to go do this, your answer is always, yes, sir. And you get up and you go because you're a servant. And that is how we serve our families. We serve our families by serving God. And that is how we're able to become leaders, because our wives and our kids see that we have their best interests at heart, and they throw their respect and their support behind us, because by respecting and supporting us, they enable us to continue to serve them the way that we have been called. Last of all, godly fathers are listeners. When Manoah panicked, his wife advised and righted his troubled heart. At the very tail end, oh, we saw God, we're gonna die. His wife is like, honey, now just think. If God wanted to kill you, you'd already be dead. He wouldn't have shown us all this. He wouldn't have done all this. And Manoah's like, yeah, you're right. Godly fathers are listeners. Men, when your wife is speaking, listen. It doesn't matter that you're interested or not interested. What you should be interested is that she's interested. And if you're going to be a godly husband and a godly father, you have got to be a godly listener. Somebody who listens not because it's going to serve you to listen, but because it will serve your wife, your kids, to listen. Why do you think God listens to your prayers? God, I just don't know what. Fifth time this week that you've done that. Why does God listen? Is it going to help him at all to listen? He listens because he loves you. He listens because what you're going through is important to you. And he wants you to follow that pattern. Godly fathers are servants. They are leaders because they are servants. And they are listeners because that helps them to be better servants. Dad, I want you to take a pause. I want you to step back and I want you to ask yourself, am I following the godly pattern? Don't ask yourself, do I feel like listening to Pastor Scott's sermon today? Don't ask yourself that. Listen or don't listen. Ask yourself, am I following the godly pattern here? Because the Father of our spirits is much more blessed than any of the fathers of our flesh. And on this Father's Day, he is calling you, maybe reminding you that he has called you to be a godly dad. Not just a dad, not just a man, not just some guy, a godly dad. Will you take up the challenge? If you have been walking in this way, let this be encouragement to your heart. But if you've not been walking in this way, let this be correction so that you can do the good job you already want to do. And let's go forward from this Father's Day with this encouragement and with these thoughts.